Logan had always seen the city in shades of gray, but one ordinary day on a hometown construction site shattered that reality. Hidden messages flickered in advertisements, and people moved with a rigidity that felt wrong. Tonight, we'll uncover a hidden world where nothing is as it seems, and seeing the truth could change everything. The roar of jackhammers and the smell of dust filled the air as Logan surveyed the crumbling facade of the old cinema building. History was being erased piece by piece, and he was part of it. Yet, amidst the rubble and splintered wood, something caught his eye. A small, unmarked box wedged between a broken column and a pile of bricks, almost as if it had been left for him to find. Cautious curiosity overtook him. Inside, resting on a bed of worn cloth, were sunglasses unlike anything he had ever seen. Sleek black frames, lenses that shimmered as if alive. A chill ran down his spine, but he couldn't resist. Sliding them onto his face felt like stepping into another dimension. The city shifted around him. Graffiti on walls and peeling posters suddenly displayed stark black and white commands. Obey, consume, stay silent. Passerby and workers flickered unnaturally, their movements too precise, their eyes too sharp, their expressions too hollow. The familiar streets of Toronto had become something alien, something controlled. Logan staggered back, heart pounding, trying to shake the images, but the truth refused to let go. The pigeons, the barista across the street, the police officer directing traffic, even the mayor's photo on a newsstand. They weren't human. Something else was wearing their skin, orchestrating the city with calculated precision. He realized one thing with terrifying clarity. He could never unsee this. The glasses had unlocked a hidden world, and in it, he was being watched. Every shadow might be alive. Every gesture might be deliberate. And the moment he lingered too long, the city itself would take notice. Logan couldn't shake the sensation that the city itself had changed. The moment he walked off the construction site wearing the glasses, every street, every face, every billboard seemed to pulse with hidden intent. People moved too deliberately, gestures too synchronized, smiles too rigid. Even the wind through the skyscrapers sounded orchestrated, carrying a whisper of commands he could almost understand, but couldn't fully hear. He ducked into a cafe, hoping for normalcy, but the barista's eyes glimmered unnaturally. The menu board, once innocuous, now spelled out stark, impossible instructions. Conform, obey, trust no one. He blinked, rubbed his eyes, convinced it was fatigue or dust. But the images returned, sharper, more intrusive. Every human he passed flickered briefly, revealing the hollow alien precision beneath their familiar faces. Paranoia crawled up his spine. Was anyone he knew real? Could he trust even his friends, neighbors, or co-workers? Every glance over his shoulder felt like surveillance. Every ordinary gesture, a nod, a wave, seemed calculated. The hidden beings weren't hiding from him. They were watching, testing, learning. Back on the streets, he noticed subtle patterns. The police, the city officials, the media, even prominent business people, all moved like cogs in a larger machine, their eyes occasionally flickering with an unnatural glow. Logan began to feel the weight of isolation crushing him. Sleep offered no refuge. His mind raced, heart pounding with each realization. He was awake in a world that no longer belonged to humans. And the longer he resisted, the more dangerous he became. By nightfall, Toronto had transformed into a labyrinth of control. Every shadow could hide an observer. Every advertisement could be a trap. Logan's resolve stiffened, but a gnawing fear settled in. Seeing the truth came with a price, and it was only just the beginning. Logan woke to the city feeling alive in a way he hadn't noticed before. Every street light flickered with intent. Every passerby moved like a calculated piece on a board. And then he realized they were noticing him. It started subtly. A police officer's head would pivot in his direction, just a fraction too quickly, as if anticipating his movements. In cafes and stores, cashiers would freeze mid-motion, eyes locking on him before returning to normal. City cameras, once background fixtures, seemed to track him with an almost predatory focus. The hidden ones weren't just controlling the city. They were aware he could see them. Even the wealthy and powerful, those who shaped the skyline, he demolished piece by piece, carried an unnatural weight. Businessmen walking to meetings, news anchors speaking with uncanny precision, politicians smiling at rallies, all revealed glimpses of something inhuman. They were everywhere, watching, judging, waiting. Logan's paranoia grew. Shadows stretched longer than they should. Conversations around him repeated as if scripted. Reflections in windows flickered with figures that didn't match reality. He tried speaking to friends, warning them, but they either stared blankly or smiled in a way that chilled him to the bone. He was alone. Every instinct screamed for him to remove the glasses, but he couldn't. The truth had revealed itself, and ignorance was no longer an option. He walked through Toronto like a man hunted, every step echoing in his mind. His pulse raced with the knowledge that the hidden world wasn't just a secret. It was a system. And systems, once aware of a threat, adapt quickly. Logan's mind teetered on the edge, yet he clung to one certainty. Seeing the world as it truly was gave him a fighting chance, however slim, to survive what was coming. Logan had become a ghost moving through Toronto, a man seen but unseen, hunted yet persistent. Every street corner held potential observers, police officers who lingered too long at intersections, newsstands whose screens flickered with messages that seemed tailored for him, and the faceless executives crossing the skyline above. The city had become a trap, and he could feel the machinery of control closing in. He started small, avoiding cameras, shadowing the patterns of the hidden ones, testing the limits of what they could perceive. The glasses revealed their presence in stark detail. Glowing eyes beneath familiar faces, subtle gestures that marked their alliance, the tiny signs of calculated observation. Every glance over his shoulder became a gamble. Every moment was a message. The more he resisted, the more obvious their attention became. A police cruiser slowed as he passed, the officer's eyes briefly glowing through the rearview mirror. A wealthy pedestrian froze mid-step, tilting their head as if reading his intentions. Even the streetlights seemed to pulse in response to him, illuminating alleys and abandoned storefronts in patterns that felt deliberate. Paranoia clawed at him relentlessly. Sleep became impossible. Every corner, every reflection, every crowd carried the potential for exposure. He began talking to himself, whispering instructions, rehearsing escape routes. The world was no longer ordinary. It was a labyrinth of eyes, of controlled humans, of predators disguised in plain sight. Yet Logan held on to his resolve. He would not succumb, would not become another obedient cog. The hidden system might know he existed, but knowledge did not yet equal capture. Every step he took, every risk he dared, was a strike back at the invisible hand that puppeteered his city. He was alone, hunted, and aware. And that awareness might be his only weapon against a world determined to erase him. Logan's breath came in sharp, ragged gasps as he navigated the skeletal remains of the half-demolished cinema building. The city below was alive with calculation. Police cars gliding silently, suited figures moving with inhuman precision, and ordinary citizens performing mechanical, unnatural tasks. Every corner, every street, every shadow belonged to them. They had seen him, and now the hunt was absolute. He ducked behind twisted steel beams, heart hammering. The glasses revealed their hierarchy in full detail. The powerful, the influential, the law enforcers, the media figures, all connected, orchestrating the city's movements with terrifying perfection. No human face could be trusted. Every flicker of motion was a calculated test. Every glance was recorded. A single officer appeared at the edge of the building, moving unnaturally fast, eyes glowing faintly. Logan flinched, dodged, but the space was too small. The threat, too immediate. Figures emerged from the shadows, more than he could count, converging silently, methodically. Panic clawed at his mind. The streets of Toronto, the city he had lived in all his life, had become a cage, and he was the prey. He ran, stumbled, and fell. The glasses showed him their patience. They were everywhere and nowhere, waiting for him to tire, to falter. Exhaustion and fear gripped him. There was no rescue, no awakening, no resistance left that could matter. The city was controlled. He was alone. The system would endure. Logan lifted himself to his knees, heart pounding, chest heaving. The hidden ones closed in, their steps precise, unrelenting. There was no escape, only awareness. And even that awareness could not change the inevitability of his fate. The city pulsed around him, indifferent, perfect, unstoppable. Logan understood in that moment. Seeing the truth mattered nothing. The world had already lost. Logan survived the night, but the city remained a labyrinth of control. Toronto's streets, its towers, its people, most of them still shadows of something other, moving to a rhythm only they understand. Awareness had given him a sliver of power, but it came with a heavy truth. The world is largely controlled, and resistance is a lonely, dangerous path. Stories like this haunt us because they reflect a fear deeper than monsters or ghosts. The fear that what we trust, what we see, may not be real at all. That those who shape our lives might be orchestrating them behind a mask. And the truth is both terrifying and isolating. If you felt the weight of this story, like, subscribe, and share it. And ask yourself, would you notice if your world was being controlled? Would you resist or be another face in the crowd? And as always, don't forget to look beyond the fog.